best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete.
I'm Jason Hondo Ling.
And I'm Canon Junkie XL Iain.
And we are back with a brand new episode of Star Wars, deep diving all of the awesome news from a galaxy far, far away. And it has been a busy week since we last recorded. You know, I think 7 days ago we all got together and we're chatting. And there's been a lot happening, and we'll just dive into the first topic, and that was Empire magazine and the shenanigans they did this week. So they put a hello there in the Star Wars long time ago in a galaxy far, far away font, and teased an announcement the following day at 4 p.m, which was actually just, you know, as Star Wars fans do, I suppose, we got carried away and thought it's a new movie, it's Acolyte release date, it's a trailer, it's everything and everything all under the sun. Turns out it was just them announcing their 25 years of the Phantom Menace and the prequels coverage. So there's going to be new interviews with the cast and crew. There's going to be 3 covers. One's a light side cover featuring Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, Anakin, Padme will be one. There's a dark side one featuring obviously, you know, the Emperor, Maul, Dooku, Vader, General Grievous, and then there's also a special. I think you have to be subscribed to a subscriber cover, and that's essentially all of the figures from the prequels. Sort of a mishmash of all the figures from the prequels, sort of all on the cover, which looks really cool. So I suppose I'll go straight to you first, Iain. Just obviously, what were your feelings when you saw the tease from Empire, and then what were your thoughts on the actual announcement we got?
To be fair, I speculated a bit wildly. I thought, oh, what's this? The hello there, it must mean something to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi and all that. So, no, I did speculate a bit wildly. But no, when the announcement came, to be fair, I didn't think it would be anything earth-shattering released in Empire magazine. If it was going to be anything new, I thought it would be the like maybe some stuff from the Acolyte or some of the upcoming stuff for Star Wars. But no, to be fair, it's a really cool magazine they've got. They've done new interviews with Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor and more people as well. So it is definitely something I'll probably look to pick up, to be fair, just to give it a read. And the covers are good. They are really, really good. So yeah, no, like I said, I was a bit wildly speculated, but I wasn't too disappointed with the announcement. Like I said, it sounds really cool, to be fair.
And, you know, it wasn't just you, it was all of us. You know, I think it popped up and like, ooh, like, what could this be? And it was like, the mind started to whirl, especially as the time went on. You know, it was a bit like, what's it going to be? Which cover would you get, Iain, then, if you're going to pick up the magazine?
I'm not a subscriber, so I do like the figure one, but I'm not a subscriber. I'd probably go for the dark side one. I do like a bit of dark side.
Dark side one. Let's go to you, Jason. Sort of, what was your thoughts, you know, on when we saw the tease, and then obviously to what the actual outcome was?
I'll be honest, I kept pretty quiet on it, but my first instinct was they're promoting a Star Wars special edition of Empire. So I wasn't overly surprised with what the result was. Obviously, the covers are really, really cool. I'd probably even go as far as try and get both copies of the light and dark side. I wasn't really overly fussed with the figure one, although it looks quite cool. I just like the idea of the light and dark side copies.
No, indeed. I think for me, you know, it makes sense, like what it is, what they've announced, and you know, it's quite a big deal. You know, 25 years since the prequels debuted, it was sort of a new Star Wars trilogy. You know, we got to see a lot of awesome stuff and a lot of first-time stuff in Star Wars, I suppose. And to go back with the cast and crew, I believe producer Rick McCallum as well is going to involve me interviewed, where when you consider he's retired now and doesn't really doesn't do conventions, he doesn't speak publicly, but obviously he was the main producer through Lucasfilm through that entire time period, from not just these prequel movies, but also like the young Indiana Jones chronicles and things like that. He was very much right by George's side throughout all of it. So I'm excited that we've got Rick McCallum on board as well, stunt coordinator Nick Gillard as well, who we've seen in the many documentaries about the prequels. He's going to be interviewed again. Something that was iconic was the lightsaber style, especially Duel of Fates, in Maul and Obi-Wan. And then later, that how stylized that and how awesome that choreography is between Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Battle of the Heroes. He's in there. Concept designer Ian McCaig's in there. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to picking it up. I really want the subscriber cover. Now I'm not subscribed, so I might see like if there's a time frame to get subscribed to get it. But obviously, all the art's being illustrated by Paul Shipper, who often does the Celebration key art. I know he did for Orlando, the last Orlando one that I went to. So it's good to see him doing some cool art. Sort of ties us in nicely because I think this was all part of the plan because we had this drop. That we're getting the articles and we're going to deep dive the prequels and it's going to be a prequel love fest. And then obviously because it is 25 years of the Phantom Menace, and then we hear sort of the next day that the Phantom Menace has returned to cinemas from May the 3rd. We've got a really, really cool new poster as well, done by Matt Ferguson, who did the 40th anniversary Empire Return of the Jedi poster, which was really awesome. So yeah, and then this came from Empire as well. So I don't know what your thoughts are. Sort of, it was pretty cool to hear that confirmed with a new poster to return to theaters from May the 3rd. It's not just cinemas deciding they want to do it. It seems that it's like, it's a big deal. So what's your thoughts on Phantom Menace coming back? And how many times you're going to go see it? We'll go to you first, Jason.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I obviously saw it in the cinema when it came out, and I really want to go and see it again. I'm quite excited as well because obviously my eldest daughter is a huge Darth Maul fan. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity of taking her to see it. Because obviously that'll be the first time she's seen that film in the cinema. So for me, it's really special. I'm hoping that yeah, I'm just hoping our local cinemas are going to have it. I'm pretty sure they will. But I'm going to be making a few phone calls this week, I think.
Indeed, I think for me, like I said, it's back in cinemas. It's for a limited time from the 3rd. So hopefully we'll get a 1 week, 2 week run maybe, which will be cool. Yeah, we get to see the Phantom Menace as large and loud as George Lucas intended, which is absolutely fantastic. So I last seen the Phantom Menace in the cinema for the 3D release, just before the Lucasfilm and Disney merger. So yeah, I'm really excited to see it in cinemas again. And obviously the only other times I seen it in cinemas was in 1999 itself, when I seen it a handful of times when it came out. Ian, what's your thoughts on sort of the big, we thought that the first announcement from Empire was, a pretty big prequel loving, and then obviously this comes straight off the back of it the next day, and we get this gorgeous new poster, which is wonderful, and they're committing to putting this back out and getting everyone to watch it who can.
Yeah, the poster that was released for it is absolutely stunning. I think the Phantom Menace poster is actually my favourite Star Wars poster of all time. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, really excited. I really do hope that, I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I really do hope to do it in the UK and that we were all able to go. Like, I'm 100% going to go see it again in the cinema when I want to see the Duel of Fate and pod racing on the big screen again. And yeah, I can't wait to see it. Like you, I saw it back in 1999. Obviously, I haven't seen it since, but it was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw in the cinema because obviously I was too young for the original trilogy. So yeah, hugely excited for that.
It's one of them ones because Empire have broke the story about it could return to cinemas. Empire's obviously a UK publication, so I think it must be coming to the UK. Otherwise, I don't know why they would be the guys who break the story. And it seems like these Empire are the guys who they've give everything to, and the magazine's like produced in the UK and everything as well. So So yes, it's looking promising. But yeah, and I just love, I love what you said about the original Phantom Menace poster and how awesome it is, and they've kept some key elements that, the Darth Maul piercing eyes, but I like how we've focused on, we've got Queen Amidala there, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon back to back, ready to fight. You've got Anakin in the distance as a shadow. Yeah, just really, 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 really awesome. I'm hoping, hopefully this goes well and successful, and then hopefully they're able to go and not just do this one, but maybe bring Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith back as well. Would be absolutely brilliant. I think one of the things I'm hoping for as well is that we get some maybe behind the scenes photos that we haven't seen for a long time, maybe in these magazines as well, which would be really cool. But just to clarify, it's going to be the April 2024 edition. So you can probably subscribe now ahead of April if you want that cover to get the subscriber cover. But it's April's edition, and it celebrates 25 years of the Star Wars prequels. Brand new interviews, including Hayden Christensen, Hugh McGregor, Natalie Portman, and more, as we've said. And yeah, it's going to be really, really good. Moving on from the prequels, we're going to move into the Disney era. Diego Luna took to social media. He's thanked the entire crew of over 700 people who work in Andor as filming wraps on the final day of shooting for the second series of the show. It's obviously the second and final series. This will take Cassian essentially from where we last seen him up to the events of Rogue One, is what they've said about it. And he ended it with saying "see you soon," so hopefully coming to our screens sooner rather than later. And he dropped a really cool image. I don't know if this is like from the second season or if it's from the first season. It's hard to tell. But he again, just to see Diego in character. He's got sort of the half-length coat. He's got the bag. You can see the belts, the straps. There's all kinds of work on in the background. Just really whets the appetite. Sort of, we'll go to you first. Iain, what's your thoughts on the fact that Cassian Andor, the series was held up a little bit by the strikes, but it's since the strikes ended, back on track. It's now ended, which is fantastic, and they can put this thing into post-production and then get it into our eyes as soon as possible.
Who's excited? I've recently rewatched Andor back over the Christmas period again, just to get my head back into it, because it's a very different Star Wars show, and absolutely loved it on the second viewing more. Like, it's such a well-written, nuanced, different take on Star Wars, and I'm hugely excited to see what they do in season 2. Obviously, season 2 is leading us into Rogue One, and I believe it will lead us into Rogue One at the end of the season. But no, hugely excited. You can tell how well produced and well crafted this show is. I think it's the best looking Star Wars show they've done out of all the Disney Plus shows, for production value and locations and sets and that. So yeah, no, who's excited? And like I said, I do think it takes a while to finish up Andor, but I think they'll absolutely kill it when it does come back in probably next year, I would have thought.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, I think we'll probably get this, 2025, probably the first quarter, hopefully. Which would be really, really awesome. Jason, what's your thoughts on Diego thanking the crew and obviously letting us all know that season 2 is wrapped and it's ready to go to post-production?
Yeah, no, it was great news, and obviously we all knew that Diego flown over and was finishing off filming. So obviously to hear that the filming's finished and everything's going full steam ahead, I believe they're aiming for next year for the release of the series, so that'll be really, really cool. Obviously, there's a huge amount of crew on this show, and obviously a lot of them are based over in the UK. So for us, it's quite an exciting thing to look forward to see. I personally know at least one person that worked on the series, and I know he's excited for us all to see what's going on.
Yeah, I think obviously the first series was it 12 episodes? Is that right?
Yes.
Was yeah, and I think they're saying that this one might be more.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
I've heard 14, so maybe I don't know how true it is, but it's at least going to be 12, I think. So again, it's such a big shoot, that first season we went to a lot of different locations. So it was such a huge shoot. And I think this is the same. So again, like I think, to see the hard part come to an end, and now going to post-production is very exciting. But I think also for Diego Luna, that's probably the last time he's going to play Cassiano because, he has a very definitive end in Rogue One. And then, like I said, this Cassiano series sort of takes him from a nobody to where we see him in Rogue One. So yeah, I think like there's going to be some real big emotions happen when the series comes out.
That was the thing with casting with me though, is I got used to seeing so many people I've seen on ITV for years. There's so many people I recognised that actually in the show I was like, oh, he's from ITV. Obviously, for anyone who's not from this country, ITV is like terrestrial telly in this country. And there were so many British actors I'd seen on other stuff. I was like, oh, I recognise all these people.
Yeah, but they're all obviously, filmmaking in the UK alive and well, which is good. That's what we want to see. Moving on from that, Donald Glover's been in the news. Speaking to Hollywood Reporter, obviously he's recently had his new reimagining of Mr. and Mrs. Smith come out. But they got talking about Lando Calrissian. And yeah, he's saying that, him and his brother are working on it. And it's quite, he was always going to come back and be Lando, but I think when they first announced this, like however many years ago now, it was like it wasn't him and his brother developing it. There was a different team on, so it goes to show you that like things have changed. But I don't know what your thoughts are, Jason, on us getting a Lando project, a Lando movie, is what Donald Glover's saying here, and then obviously also the fact that it seems like it'll be Donald and his brother, in the creative hot seat as well, who obviously both work on Atlanta, which is a really, really great show that's on FX. It's also on Disney Plus since the Fox Disney merger.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing. Obviously, Lando's quite a underused character in the film, so to speak. Obviously, we've seen a bit of him in Rebels as well. I loved his, that obviously showed a younger, a younger Lando, so to speak. And obviously then he made his final appearance or last appearance that we've seen in Rise of Skywalker. Billy D. Williams, absolutely, a real charismatic actor. And I have to admit, what Donald Glover did with the character for the Solo film, I was really impressed with. And I think he caught the magic of Billy D. So I'm hoping, obviously the series will sort of take on its own right. The only thing that always concerns me is when an actor has quite such a big play in the behind the scenes of a show. Sometimes it can become a bit of an ego project. I don't think this will happen with Donald Glover, seeing the stuff that he's done in the past. But for example, the way that Taika Waititi's gone with the latest Thor films, because of his involvement in everything to do with Thor, I just felt that he sort of took over and it became the Taika Waititi rather than Thor project. So I do like when there's a divide. You've got the creative side, and then you've got the actor who portrays the character that's creative. But all we can do is wait and see what they do with the character. And let's face it, Lando is a very fun character. And obviously you've got the history there with Han Solo as well. So yeah, there's a lot that they can do with that series.
So it's going to be a movie, I think, is what Donald Glover's saying here.
Was it? Sorry, I thought it.
No, so things can change, obviously. So I think initially when it first got announced, it was talking it could be a series, but this was before, like this was with like the different people involved. So like I said, now it's resurfaced and looks like Glover's in these meetings with Lucasfilm, and he's trying to fight to get Kim and his brother's vision over, and it seems to be working because they're signing on and they're talking. So yeah, like they're talking movies. So yeah,
which
I
is
think
a good
exciting
thing.
times. Obviously, still very much in the development phase. I imagine. I think for me, I know what you're saying about Taika there and Thor, but also like Taika's not doing anything that the studio haven't signed off on. So like Kevin Feige's agreed that script and greenlit it, and he's watched the
Yeah,
dailies
no,
and he said thumbs up. And I think so like it's not about did he have too much control, but it's about like the powers that be like were happy for him to do that. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I get that, but I just do it. Just sometimes it becomes a bit of a vanity project, and I think sometimes the powers that be can sometimes leave the control. Think, oh, we trust this person, but don't necessarily look at what effect it's going to have on the end project.
Well, I think the one thing we know about Lucasfilm is that they don't trust directors because they'll fire them. I mean, that's a tongue in
Yeah,
cheek joke, by the way.
true.
But again, like this is not the first guy's working on Lando, and this is a different Lando now. Do you know what I mean? Like the
True.
solo directors that this is going to be a spin off of the solo movie. I imagine it's that's where Glover portrayed Lando was in that solo movie, right? Like they fired the directors halfway through production. Do you know what I mean? And brought in a different director. So I think if there's one thing we've seen, it's like that won't be able to happen. Like it'll be a case of like they'll get the product they want, and if they have to go the hard way to get that, they will. I don't know what your thoughts are, Ian, on a Lando movie, and whether you're excited that it seems to be Donald Glover seems to be not just here to play the role, but seems very pumped up about the creative, and he's a very creative guy. So if he's excited about it and invested, it's hopefully going to be a good project.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think I saw a quote from this interview where he said about a singular vision and how he thinks it's good to have a singular vision for the role and the character. And like I said, he's produced quality before. Like I said, when you talk about Atlanta and all that type of stuff, and I do believe, yeah, I think, and plus, his Lando Calrissian is pretty widely loved. I haven't seen many people say, "Oh, I didn't like his Lando Calrissian." So I think it's a good thing that he is taking such a hands-on role with the creative side of the movie slash TV series that it might be. And I probably think he's still talking to Billy D. Williams as well. Potentially, he could come in and be in the movie somewhere. Maybe it's a flashback, or maybe it's Billy D. speaking about his past, and then Donald Glover is the one who obviously acts as Lando in the film. But no, I just saw that thing about a singular vision, and I think sometimes that's what studios lack. Sometimes it's filmed by committee. So if someone wants to take it on and do all the creative side, and he's played this character before, like I said, he's got skin in the game as well. He doesn't want to produce something that's bad. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at obviously he's a hit music producer, performer as Childish Gambino, and again, like Childish Gambino doesn't release tracks all the time. Do you know what I mean? He gets in that groove, produces some awesome product, and it comes out. I think he very much puts all of his time and effort into the project he's doing at the time. And if that's going to be the Lando project, I think we're going to get a very, very well driven Donald Glover, hopefully creating something wonderful. And I think you could absolutely go down that route of having Billy D maybe telling a story at the beginning, or whatever, is he in a prison cell or whatever, and he gets chatting to someone and it sort of flashes back, maybe. And I think that would work really well. Obviously, if that's going to be the case, so they'll probably need to move the project fast, because I know Star Wars Celebration, Billy D was looking pretty frail. As you do with age, for the time it catches up with everybody. But he was, time was catching up with him, I thought, when I seen him at Star Wars Celebration. And as we've seen, even the young or the younger, we've seen what happened with Ray Stevenson. Do you know what I mean? Like anything happened at any one time. So let's hope that with all the strikes behind us now, we can just move hopefully full scale ahead with these projects. And I suppose him talking about a Lando movie sort of fits in nicely with our next topic and film dates. So obviously we've had the announcement of The Mandalorian Grogu. We know it's going into production this year. It's good to go. So yeah, it was a Disney earnings call. Bob Iger confirmed during the earnings call that the film would be the first Star Wars release in 2026, landing on May 22nd. So yeah, 2026, May 22nd will be The Mandalorian and Grogu. Two of our Star Wars films are also given dates. Second film for 2026 as well will arrive on December 18th, and then another one the following Christmas on December 17th, 2027. We don't know what these films will be, but I expect one of them to be the Rey sequel. So yeah, obviously we know Mandalorian Grogu is going into production like anytime soon. According to the conversations that we're hearing, the Rey New Jedi Order movie is ready to go into production this year as well. So I imagine that will be the Christmas release. And then that leaves that 2027 release. You know, could that be the Donald Glover Lando Calrissian movie? Who knows? But we'll just go to you first, Jason. Sort of, what's your thoughts on, you know, Mandalorian Grogu? We know we've had an announcement. You know, it's ready to go. We've got the logo. We've now got the date. Obviously, you know, I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been cooking this up a while. And then they're finally just ready. All the pieces are now in motion now that the strike's over and we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, no, it was good news. And obviously Bob Iger sort of set out a few things for his vision of what's going on with Disney overall. So to see the announcements of these films given, you know, strong dates, obviously it fits in with what we've seen in the past with Star Wars. I was sort of surprised to see two in the same year. But obviously they're trying to, I think possibly had it not been for the strikes, I think maybe we'd have seen Mandalorian and Grogu in 2025, and I think that's possibly held it up a bit. So that's what's caused this, but it's promised, you know, good news for all of us. I think we're all dying for more Star Wars in the cinema. Um, you know, where it rightfully belongs. You know, don't get me wrong, what they've been churning out with Disney Plus, I think is some of the top Star Wars storytelling that we've seen in a long time. You know, Andor in itself was brilliant. Obviously, The Mandalorian has captured everyone's imagination. You know, I know people that were never into Star Wars that have got into Star Wars because of The Mandalorian. So it's been, you know, to see this go into the cinema, I think was a no-brainer. Obviously, Filoni and Favreau, as you rightly say, is they've seemed to have a plan all the way through, and apparently we are still getting a season 4 of Mandalorian as well as the movie. Obviously, we don't know whether that's going to come before or after the movie. But yeah, no, all in all, it's really good news. As I said, I suspect one of those two films is going to be the Rey sequel, although obviously it's gone a bit quiet on that one at the moment. But obviously they've got a lot of work to get it underway. So no, all in all, I think this was great news coming from Bob Iger as well. Always gives us a little bit of hope.
Yeah, you know, I think the Walt Disney Company, you know, they make movies, and the best place for them to make money is in the cinema. You know, I think obviously, you know, Disney Plus was such a big option that, you know, they had to sort of go exclusive to that platform in the beginning. Obviously, it's there now. It has a subscriber base, but you know, business wise, you know, we've had the strikes. You know, we've had the ending of the Skywalker saga, and they've had to sort of recalculate some things. But I think, you know, they want to get back into cinemas. I think for me, having two the same year, I get it's a bit weird. And if you look at, you know, when Solo was a summer release, you know, it wasn't marketed very well, to be fair. They dropped the ball with that, then the marketing, and then that's why it sort of didn't do very well money-wise, is my belief. But I think with this, you know, I think if The Mandalorian and Grogu is the first release, and that is the summer release of 2026, again, I feel like, as you've said, The Mandalorian and Grogu, you know, they already have a built-in audience, already have people who know who they are, who love them. So, you know, that marketing, that should be pretty straightforward, I would like to think. Marketed properly, and people are going to go because they already invested in those characters. Again, with the Rey, if you put the Rey movie that Christmas, again, you have like people invested in that sequel trilogy who are then going to turn up because they know what it's about. Where I think obviously Solo wasn't marketed very well, and it was like it's Han Solo, but it's not Harrison Ford, and what's it going to be like. We hadn't seen him Alden play the character before, so there's a lot of like what ifs there. Where I think with these two movies, if these are the first two movies released, I think it could work because I think they've already got built-in audiences and people are already aware of the characters and where the story could go, and people are invested in those characters and those stories as well. I don't know what your thoughts are, Ian, about two movies in 2026.
Selfishly, I'm hugely excited. It gives us stuff to talk about, and I'm looking forward to that feeling again of going to the cinema to see Star Wars. I don't go to the cinema a lot recently because there's nothing really that makes me want to get up and go to the cinema. But obviously, a new Star Wars movie will obviously make me want to go to the cinema. And as much as I love the stuff on Disney Plus, there's nothing that beats sitting in the cinema watching a Star Wars film. That's how Star Wars was always meant to be consumed. So yeah, and if we get two in a year, and like I said, and market it right, and it's good stories and that, I don't see why there would be an issue. Like it's especially with the gap. It's not like we're coming off two movies a year for the past 10 years and that. It's going to be, I think it's 7 years since the last Star Wars movie by the time this one comes out. And I agree with you. Like I said, The Mandalorian and Grogu is, I don't want to use the word safe, but it's like you said, it's a built-in audience who know what they're going for. Everyone loves Grogu. I think it's a good idea to have that the first movie back, get yourself on solid footing, and then go to the more ambitious projects like the Rey Jedi Order movie, or potentially Dawn of the Jedi, or Dave Filoni's movie. So yeah, no, hugely excited by the potential of having to go see Star Wars twice in a year. It's been a long time since we got to see anything, so I'm hugely excited for that.
It is indeed. So if you think, so like I said, the first two movies are probably going to be The Mandalorian and Grogu, and then that Rey New Jedi Order movie. What's your thoughts on what that third movie could be for December 17th, 2027?
No, that is a good question. Part of me just thinks the Filoni movie, because potentially we could get there. I'm guessing by then Ahsoka Season 2 would have come out. Potentially Mando Season 4, depending on what they do with the films. Skeleton Crew. Or maybe they shock us and maybe we next year at Star Wars Celebration we get an announcement of a totally different movie, an Old Republic film, something like that. So yeah, no. At the moment, I would lean towards either, like you said, the Donald Glover Lando film or the Dave Filoni Mando versus Thrawn Heir to the Empire type movie that looks like it's coming out. But I can't wait for the next Star Wars movie that like has the galaxy shaking stakes that we have in the prequels and the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. So yeah, I can't wait to look for that.
Yeah, I think, obviously you've got the Dawn of the Jedi movie announced, James Mangold's attached to direct and produce, he's just come off working with Lucasfilm for Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. I think if I'm him, you probably don't want to wait around too long. So, I mean, I don't know how advanced the idea is, but if they are working on that and it is moving along at a good speed and it's making sense and everyone's happy, then for me, I think that could easily make that December 17th, 2027 date as well. And again, they could add more dates. You got to think, that first year, if they do two movies in 2026, one in May, one in December, and that works well, and then they have these projects in pre-production that are going well, I can see them committing to maybe do that more often. But time will tell, I suppose. But it's exciting to see, that we've got 3 release dates for Star Wars movies, 2 in 26 and 1 in 27, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I do have a question to ask you first, Jason. I'm going to go to Ian. So obviously, The Mandalorian and Grogu, we're definitely going to have Grogu in the movie. Are we going to have Pedro Pascal on set for The Mandalorian in the movie or not?
I think so. Obviously, a lot of the work will be done by the two stunt guys, Brandon Wayne and Lateef Crowder. But I do think that Pedro, especially as it's a film, I think there'll be. I think that's possibly part of the plan that will entice Pedro into being involved more. And let's see what they can do with that character And I suspect if it's going to be a feature length, they're probably going to want to take the helmet off a few times. So yeah, I think he will be involved.
Do you think we'll see Luke Skywalker in the movie?
Not sure on that one. I'd like. I think I've been vocal on here before. I'd like to see more done with the younger Luke, but I've got my own ideas of what they could do with that. Um, I'm not sure if I want them to bring him back for a film. Obviously, it depends on the story that they're telling. Um, it's one of those things that we'll have to see what they cook up, really.
The reason why I ask is that the title's The Mandalorian and Grogu, so like Grogu's story is going to be sent up to this as well as the Mando's. So like obviously in Grogu's Jedi past is obviously a big thing. Let's go to you, Iain. I suppose a different question for you I've got. So do you think that we will see Ahmed Best reprise his role as the Jedi who saved Grogu in this movie?
I do believe so. Yes, I think we will. There's still that story to be told. Obviously, the last thing we saw was in Mando season 3 is them escaping from Coruscant, going to hyperspace after Order 66. There's still a story to be told there, and just having Ahmed Best back, obviously playing a different role, would be really, really awesome to see. It was one of my favourite Star Wars moments of all time when he came on screen in Mando season 3. I thought that was such a nice touch, and for him to come back and receive that love as a character and as a person. Obviously, we all know what happened with the Phantom Menace and what that led to in his life. So I hope so. I really do. I really do think we could see Ahmed Best back as Kelleran Beck in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Like you said about Luke Skywalker, I think if they could bring Luke Skywalker back, I think that'll be for the Filoni movie. That seems like you would need a Luke Skywalker level hero to potentially fight off Thrawn.
Quite possibly. And do you think that we're going to get much of the star of the show, the Mando himself? Is he going to be in the suit? Do you think he's going to be on set?
I think he'll be on set for some of it, yeah. To be honest, the stuff with Pedro on that, I do kind of get it. If he's not going to take his helmet off, and it is for him, he's basically stated at the moment it's just a voice acting gig, and obviously he's in The Last of Us, and he's in all hands. I do get why he's not around that much, and he can just voice the character. I don't buy into this stuff where he's had a big falling out with people and all that type of stuff. I think that was just internet rumor and all that type of stuff. I just think he thinks I'm not showing my face. I can just sit in a booth somewhere, record some lines, and that I think if they gave him something to sink his teeth into, I think he would 100% come back. Like when Mando first launched, you could see how happy and proud he was to be in Star Wars. I saw his interview with Ewan McGregor when they were doing Obi-Wan, and it was Mando season 2 or something, and he was so excited. So I just think at the moment I can see his point. He's just basically just a voice actor at this point because he doesn't need to be on set. But if they give him a reason to be on set and the helmet comes off, then 100% you'll see Pedro Pascal in a Star Wars movie. You won't turn that down.
Indeed, and he's become such a big star, but he's in a lot more movies now. He's in other TV shows, as you mentioned. The Last of Us doing really well. So he really is doing really well. Moving on from that, The Acolyte, obviously the highly anticipated series coming from Leslie Headland, is we've been told from reliable sources set to release on Disney Plus this summer. Obviously, Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which starts at the end of February, will end on May the 1st with its finale. And it looks like another Star Wars show could start soon after. And like I said, this year we know we've got Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and Tales of the Jedi still to come to the streaming platform this year. So it seems that Skeleton Crew's penciled in for that sort of back end of the year. Obviously, Tales of the Jedi being another animation, they'll probably put that down there as well. So yeah, it looks like the Acolyte could be what comes this summer, which will be really cool. Obviously, set 50 years before the events of the Phantom Menace. Acolyte will follow a former Jedi Padawan and a one-time master as they fall into an investigation of sinister crimes in an ever-changing galaxy. So yeah, exciting times. Obviously, when we're recording this, it is Super Bowl Sunday. people online are going wild, saying we might get an Acolyte trailer during the Super Bowl with the announcement that's coming in the summer. So we'll go to you first, Ian. I suppose, what's your thoughts on getting the Acolyte in the summer? And then also, what's your thoughts on, do we get some promotional material tonight during the Super Bowl?
This is my most anticipated Star Wars show possibly ever. I remember sitting in the room with you at Star Wars Celebration when they showed us that trailer. It looked absolutely incredible. It's about Jedi. It's about the Sith. It's what Star Wars is about. It's about the Force. It's just about everything I like in Star Wars. It's around that time period. One of my favorite Star Wars stories of all time is the Darth Plagueis novel. And if we get a little bit of that sprinkled into this show, I just think this could be really, really special. Like I said, and I hope that we get something tonight in the Super Bowl. It'd be really cool. I did see someone answer back to me on Twitter saying, "Oh, they wouldn't put it because it's on CBS." I don't know what that means, but they are apparently getting a Deadpool trailer tonight, and that's Disney. So I don't see why you potentially wouldn't. And you want to launch this to the biggest possible audience ever. No one's going to know about this. Obviously, no one outside the Star Wars hardcore bubble is going to know what this show's about. It's not got a legacy character to carry it. It's not well established like The Mandalorian and that. If you could show a trailer to, I don't know how many people watch Super Bowl, but I assume it's in the hundreds of millions of people. If you could show that and people go, "Whoa, what is that?" then 100% you show it tonight, I think. Biggest audience.
Yeah, I think if that is coming this summer, we've had the Bad Batch trailer, we know the episode titles, we know the dates we're getting the episodes. So if that, and for me, for this to be coming out from Claire.com about Acolyte coming in the summer, it means that someone somewhere is talking about it and getting things ready to promote. That's where the noise comes from. Maybe the noise is coming from because guess what? Something's going to drop at the Super Bowl tonight, and hopefully it's an Acolyte trailer, and hopefully it confirms that it's coming in the summer. Jason, what's your thoughts on Acolyte coming in the summer, and then are you hoping we get promotional material sooner rather than later?
Yeah, really pleased that we've got a bit of a hope as to when this is coming out. Obviously, like we say, Acolyte is one of the most hotly anticipated series to come out since everything's been going on with Disney Plus. It's obviously an era of Star Wars that hasn't been shown on screen, so there's a lot that you've got a lot of different design work that will have gone into it. It's just going to be a different project, and everyone's going to be looking forward to seeing that. And like you say, Super Bowl it's when they love to drop big information. A lot of the big series in America, the big films will drop something during the Super Bowl. And for me, it would make perfect sense to do it for the Acolyte with the sort of time frame that we're looking at. But until it happens, we'll never know. But I would expect a trailer to come out very soon or some sort of tease because obviously, we're getting closer to when we're going to get the series. And obviously, we've got 11 days now until we get to see the last season of the Bad Batch.
Definitely, I think, and one thing that can't be put aside is that, I think this year's Super Bowl potentially, I think the saying is going to be the most watched show in American history. And joking all aside, it's partly because of the Taylor Swift effect and the Travis Kelce, obviously being in the Super Bowl. She's flew back from a tour in Tokyo, and there's such a big buzz where people who wouldn't normally watch the Super Bowl you're talking about are, as well as everyone else who is. So, like I said, the predicting it's going to be the most watched show in American history, Americans television history ever. So again, if you know that that's the perfect storm, then you get this trailer out tonight because it's going to be the most eyes ever on it. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to capitalize on that. And that pretty much brings an end to the topics that I had down. Jason, is there anything else you want to cover Star Wars news-wise or non-news, I suppose?
No, I think Everything has been pretty much covered. Obviously, I wasn't on last week, so I didn't get to sort of talk about Lego, but I believe Kat probably did. Um, but there's lots of exciting stuff that I'm saving my pocket money up for at the moment, um, or praying for a lottery win so that I can get a bigger place to fit it all in. But no, obviously, I'm looking forward to hopefully popping down to Jedi Archives next weekend and seeing all their new goodies in, and finally getting to see their lightsabers now they've got them all in store.
Is there a new Lego magazine out as well where you get a really cool minifigure this week? I've seen that somewhere.
Oh yes, yeah, it's I'm a bit disappointed though because it's another Palpatine, and I've well no, sorry, Darth Sidious, or the Emperor. So I've already got that figure. I think it's exactly the or very similar figure to the one I've already got. Um, but what they did show for the next edition, so I'm just going to find it, is it's one of the Coruscant Guards is the minifigure for the next edition, and that does look cool. That is one that I probably will try and get a couple purchased.
Ian, anything Star Wars that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
No, nothing I can think of really. Just like I said, hugely excited for this year to see what's to come. Potentially, we could have something to talk about tonight if something does drop during the Super Bowl and that. I'll find out first thing in the morning because I can never watch it live because it's too late. But no, other than that, nothing I can really think of. The next thing I'm looking forward to is The Living Force by John Jackson Miller, which is out in April, I believe.
Is this the novel about
The Jedi Council? Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. And then there's also a novel coming out about Qui-Gon Jinn's dying wish, isn't there, to Mace Windu?
Is it?
I believe so.
Yeah,
So
there's some. I've read something about that one as well, Pete.
Yeah, it'd be up your street, Ian. I think it's essentially looks like after Qui-Gon Jinn's passed, they sort of, however he does it, it'll probably be a video message, I'd imagine. But like it links to like a mission he went on in the past, and he's dying wishes for Mace Windu to go make sure everything's all right or something like that. And obviously, we've seen Mace and Qui-Gon maybe not see eye to eye, especially in the Phantom Menace, but they obviously do have a history of a friendship there.
I did know, yeah. Star Wars: The Glass Abyss. I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't realize. I'd never read that. I knew there was a Mace Windu novel coming, but I hadn't actually read the synopsis for it. But yeah, it is about a posthumous message from Jin. So yeah, no, 100%. I'll be getting that. That's out in August, though, so we got a while to wait for that.
So it is just great to see the prequels really are like interweaving themselves into storytelling at the minute. I think it's a great time. I suppose my last question is, because I read this when I was sort of just reacquainting myself with the news. So obviously Carrie-Anne Moss is in the cast list for the Acolyte, but we haven't seen like what she is, I don't think yet, or what she's going to do. I don't know if you've got any thoughts, Ian, on who Carrie-Anne Moss could be.
We saw her in the trailer at Celebration, did we not?
I can't remember.
We did, yeah. She's in the trailer. Obviously, people can't see it. I've got it on my phone, like a dodgy copy of it. I've watched how many times, and she's in the bar that they go into, and they have like that kind of like Matrix fight. She looks like a Jedi, but like I said, that could be misdirect.
Could indeed. You have to send us that over so I can.
I will do, mate.
Put in a WhatsApp group and we'll watch it.
I will do.
We did not film that, by the way, if anyone's listening.
We did not. I just want to clarify. I did not film that.
Yep.
Someone else filmed that,
yep.
And I did not film that.
Indeed. Well, that brings us into this week's episode. Just thanks very much for joining us, guys. I think just put the cherry on top. It's an exciting time. We've got 3 Star Wars release dates for movies. We know what one of them definitely is. We know what the second one most probably is, and there's a couple of different. The third one could be a couple of different projects that are currently in the fires. So it's good to see Star Wars projects back in the fires, getting greenlit, getting made. We're seeing other projects getting finished, like Andor. as we've talked about, Acolyte's finished and, could be getting marketing material for that coming up very soon. We've mentioned some novels there. It really is going to be a big year for Star Wars and a big 5 years for Star Wars, I think, where we're going to see Star Wars back on the big screen. We're going to see very different stories, I think, told through Disney Plus, and I think the publishing arm's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as well off the back of the High Republic's popularity and just how good that is quality-wise. But no, thank you very much for joining us, guys. Listeners, thank you very, very much for listening. Ian, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on social media at Star Wars Iain on Twitter.
And Jason, where can people find you on social media?
Hondo Link.
And you can find myself on X or Twitter at Geordie Jedi Pete. I'm also on Instagram at Geordie Jedi Pete. And you can find the podcast on X or Twitter at Boars Star. And then the podcast is also available on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn at Star Wars Podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please just leave us a top review. Only takes you a few moments, but it leaves us smiling all day, and it helps other people find the show. And again, if you're listening on one of the other many podcast apps out there, and it has the option to leave a little review, again, just leave us a top review. Makes us very happy, and we are very grateful. But that brings an end to this week's episode. May the Force be with you all, and remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
The Dorky Diva Show presents
Why is this seat so much more comfortable?
the long-awaited sequel to the adventures of the Zolan Dart audio drama.
Have you seen the captain's datapad?
Trying to work, Murph.
Piloting the Zolan Dart by himself,
You do understand the details of this particular job, correct?
I've been on plenty of jobs like this. With you!
Reldar Sias returns to a planet he thought he'd left behind for good.
Is there a reason you didn't mention I was tagging along?
Hopefully having you there will make others think twice about messing with me.
Making new friends
Oh, you must be the pilot of the Zolan Dart, yes?
I guess I am.
and reconnecting with old ones,
Reldar?
Vera?
What are you doing here?
until past grudges resurface.
I'd be minding my own business if I were you.
Well, if your business wasn't being handled right in front of my face, maybe I could mind my own business. We have to leave. Now.
Why the rush all of a sudden?
We're in trouble.
If it isn't little Reldar Sias.
Hey, Yorick. Long time no see.
Roz already knows you're here.
Oh.
Look who decided to come home.
Reldar must confront his origin,
I must admit, I never saw this as being a part of your past, Softshell.
or let it define his future.
I will get what is owed to me, no matter the cost.
Because what Roz is trying to do is wrong.
Says you.
My blasters, we're going to need these. Take that, Sleemo.
Who do you think you are?
The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Episode 2, coming soon.
Fearless Fred presents Mud 79, a fan-made Star Wars story, Season 2. The Empire stands on the verge of total defeat, its forces in tatters after a disastrous defeat at the hands of Separatist forces. The Imperial fortress of Camp Vibus has fallen. Spies have infiltrated High Command. Secessionist forces slaughter anyone friendly to the Empire. But the Mudders of Platoon 79 will not yield. They will not break, no matter the odds. For the Empire! But all is not lost. The arrival of a new commander brings hope for success. But with him comes a tighter grip, because failure is not an option.
The Emperor doesn't tolerate such gross incompetence, and neither do I.
The shattered remnants of Imperial might are rallied against a relentless enemy.
Know that the Emperor watches over us, that we are the instrument that brings his peace to the galaxy.
Experience the galaxy and join the Imperial forces as Solomon Kwai and the rest of the Mud Troopers march headlong towards a war they might not survive.
Get down!
Lead the way. Enlist today. Fearless Fred presents Mud 79, a fan-made Star Wars story. Season 2 is available for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.